Hello everyone, welcome to a new video of our Roblox scripting series. Today I will be showing you guys how to kill a player that touches a specific part, like this. If you guys want to know how to do this, then let's keep on watching and I will give you guys a step-by-step process on how to do so. What I have here is a freshly loaded baseplate, and first I will create a part under workspace, as this will be the part that the player touches and he will get destroyed. Then next I will create a script under server script service. I will leave it as the name script and we'll go ahead and get the path to the part that we want. We will name it my part and set it equal to workspace.part because part is under workspace. It is important to know what events are in Roblox. In Roblox, objects and parts have these things called events that are built into them. In our code, the only time that it gets executed is if a specific event happens, and there'll be two specific ones that I will be going over, such as touched as well as player added. We will be going over player added first, as I think it will allow us to get more familiar with events. So for player added, we need to get a service which is called players. So player local players equals game get service players. And now we will go ahead and add the event to the players. So players dot, and now when we put in dot, we can see the little purple lightning bolt. These are our events. We had different ones such as, child added, change, destroying, but one that we will be looking at is player added. We can connect a function to the event by specifying :connect and then put in the word function into it, a set of parentheses, and we will hit enter and it will give us this block where we can put our code in. Now, most events actually passes an object as an argument. Arguments and parameters actually go inside here. For the player added event, it passes in the player that gets added to the game. So we will name this argument as player, and now we can actually print player.name. So if we play it, you can see that my name pops up under the console. That is because it only executes whenever a player gets added. So I will go ahead and test this. I will create a local server with 2 players. Now, as you can see, I have the server up here, and you can see that player 1 and player 2 gets printed out in the console. Now that we have that out of the way, we kind of have a base understanding of how events work. We can use the same knowledge that we learned and apply it to the touched event. For the touched event, we apply it to a part. So we can say my part dot and the event that we want, which is touched. We connect it to a function. And just like the player added event that passes in the player, it passes in the object that touches the part. Now we can name the parameter as part, and we can print out the name of the part or the name of the object that touches my part. So if we print the part.name and if we run it, as you can see, it actually prints out baseplate. That's because baseplate is the object that touches the part when we first loaded it. And as you can see, if I move it up, due to physics, it falls down, and because the part's not anchored, the baseplate is what it repeatedly touches. And as you can see, it prints it out 17 times. This is because the event fires a numerous amount of times in a given instance. As you can see, it keeps printing it out. And if we actually play it, then we can have our character run around. So the console gets spammed with all of these different parts. That is because if we look at workspace and our character model, we have each body limb, such as head, foot, and each of these count as an individual part. So each of these parts that touches this brick on the floor fires off the event for each of these. So now that we have that, what if we, instead of each part, we actually want to get the player? Well, we can actually get the parent of the part. So if we print out the parent rather than just the part's name, every time we step on it, it prints out my name. Actually, I moved this a little bit farther away from spawn point. So now that we have that, we can go ahead and work on our logic to kill the player. So first, we need to check if the part is actually a model because in our workspace, we have a character model. So I will create a variable, local check model, set it equal to part.parent, and check if it is a model. And for those of you guys who are wondering what is a means that it looks at the class name, as you can see in this bottom right. It looks for its class name, and we only want a model because if we run, our character is a model for its class name. We can actually end this event if it is not a model. So if not check model, then return and return. So basically, now that we know the object that touches this part is a model, we need to also actually check if it is a humanoid, because each player has a humanoid and we can alter the humanoid's health to kill the player. So we can create a variable for it. So local humanoid equals part.parent. And now we need to find first child humanoid. This is because if we normally reference it with part.parent.humanoid, there might be a chance that humanoid does not exist, and we will get an error if the humanoid does not exist but we do search for it. So if we do find first child, it'll either return us true or false, given if the player has a humanoid. So now we can say if humanoid, or actually if we will keep the same structure as this one. So if not humanoid, then return. So basically, if the character or if the object does not actually have a humanoid where we can alter its health, then we must return and we must not execute further code. So after we have that, we can set the humanoid's health to 0. Humanoid.health with a capital H equals 0. If we play it, as you can see, as the player touches the part, we collapse. Now I would like to talk about one or two things that can kind of make this a little more efficient, because as you can see, the touched event fires very rapidly. I can go ahead and revert that. So we can print something, and if we play it, it prints very rapidly, but that is not efficient. That wastes a lot of processing power. So what we could do is we can actually do something called, we can add a debounce. We can set it to false, or you can set it to true, but the most important part is that you check if debounce, you check if the opposite of what you set as the if condition. So if we set it to false, then we want to check if it's true and then return. After this, we can say debounce equals true, because if debounce gets, or if the touched event gets fired again, then it will recognize debounce as false and it will not execute further code. So after we set it to true, we will print it out, and we can actually add a cooldown to how often we want this touched event to kind of fire. So if we add a task.wait 1 second, this event or this print will fire every second. So after 1 second, we can reset debounce so that we can get into this block of code. So if we run it and we walk around the part, it does not have the number of times. So it prints out twice, but if I keep running on it, every second it updates. So that's kind of how you can kind of add efficiency to the touch event, because it's known to be notoriously inefficient. You also have this property under the part called can't touched, and sometimes people accidentally check this off and wonder why their touched event does not work. This is because if you have a part that you don't really need to check for if it has a touch event, such as buildings or whatnot, then that can waste power. So as you can see, I turned it off and now the touch event actually does not do anything. However, if I turn it back on, where is it? Right here. If I turn it on and if I walk back onto it, it starts printing it out. Now, this is just something to take note of, because I've seen some people actually wonder why their touch event doesn't work, and that is because they have their touched event turned off. And that kind of wraps up this video. I hope you guys learned something, and thank you guys for watching.